Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's been a while. Where were we? Fires of Heaven. It's around here somewhere. Hold on. Hold on. Ah, here it is. So, continuing my quest to finish reading the entire Wheel of Time series before the show airs, and I'm probably not going to make it. It's now the last week of August 2021, and the show's supposed to premiere in November. Rumor has it it'll be Black Friday, but we don't know how certain that is. But anyway, I'm not sure I can read the rest of the series in the next 3 months. I'm beyond this, but I don't know. That's a lot of reading, and that's going to be a tough call. Maybe by the end of the year, early next year, but I don't know if I can read the rest for the next 3 months. I've never been a quick reader. I stop and contemplate far too often to be able to read quickly. Anyway, this book, Book 5, The Fires of Heaven, this is the favorite book of a lot of people, which I didn't really realize. It's not particularly mine. It's not bad. It's got a lot of action in it. There's a lot of character development. There's a couple of major battles, and there's a huge battle at the end. So lots of interesting stuff happens here. And the series is really moving at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of major plot beats that happen here. I can't talk too much about this book without spoiling major parts of the rest of the series. So normally in these videos I try to give you a review of the book, a rundown of the book, and then go into spoilers that for the rest of the series. I can't really do that here. There's just too much, and the plot is too dense at this point, and it's too tied into everything else going on to be able to talk too much about that. So if you're looking for a spoiler-free review, I can't really tell you much. I will say the title is abstract, kind of. At this point in the series, and after this point, most of the titles are from in-world prophecies or poems or something, and they don't really tell you what's going on. The first few books sort of tell you what's happening, and from this point on, it's just sort of abstract. This is not there aren't any actual fires in any heaven-type place that happen here. So after this point, the titles are pretty abstract. It's just a shift that Jordan made at some point. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this particular book here. This is a fairly new copy. If I want to talk about the publishing aspect of things, this here there's only the first 5. So this is a fairly early copy. This paperback came out before Lord of Chaos came out, so this is a fairly early copy I got my hands on here. This book is also very long. In paperback terms, I think it's well over 1,000 pages. No, not quite 1,000 pages. Not including the glossary, the story ends on page 963, 964. So it's huge. It's enormous. Look at that sucker. There are a couple of things, specific things that I wanted to talk about here. Let's see, what else did I mark here? So there's a moment early on when Rand starts hearing Lews Theron's voice. This is in toward the end of chapter 2. And he suddenly says to himself, Ilyena never flashed her temper at me when she was angry with herself. When she gave me another rough side of her tongue, it was because his mind froze for an instant. He had never met a woman named Ilyena in his life, but he could summon up a face for the name, dimly, a pretty face. Anyway, hair exactly the same shade as Elaine's. I've always thought that Elaine was a reincarnation of Ilyena. Always thought that. So that's an interesting development at this point, that this is the first time we sort of get Lews Theron's voice in his head. Here's another one. Maybe she only saw the world different. No, it's not me that's changed. I'm the same. It's everything else that's different. I'm not sure if that's Rand's voice or if that's Lews Theron's voice at this point. So that's an interesting point. We get the first exposure to one of Linny's Linnyisms. At my age, if I make it up, it's still an old saying. Love that. That's great. That may be the best line of the book. No, it's not. Wait, I know what's coming. Never mind. Here's another one of these foreshadowy bits when Matt says at some point, that was what rankled really. He was not about to be owned by any woman, however pretty she was. We got another one of these interesting bits from Soralia. There's a lot of middle-aged and old ladies in the kick-ass middle-aged ladies and old ladies in these books who are just wonderful. Soralia at one point says, "In my day, girls jumped when a wise one said jump and continued jumping until they were told to stop. As I am still alive, it is still my day. Need I make myself clearer?" Great. Another one, this one from Brigida. Brigida's got great lines. She's not really a middle-aged lady. Well, she's old. Well, depends on how you define old. I always say if you must mount the gallows, give a jest to the crowd, a coin to the hangman, and make the drop with a smile on your lips. Here's a bit of character development that I'd forgotten about. And this is one of these things I want to try. In every one of these videos, I want to talk about one thing I'd forgotten about, one scene that I completely had forgotten about, and one great, great line. This, I think, is the scene that I want to talk about that I forgot about. Brigida really gives Nynaeve a hard time because Nynaeve is feeling guilty and feeling apologetic about the fact that Brigida's in the situation that she's in. And Brigida says to her, "You take responsibility for my actions." Brigida broke in fiercely. "I chose to speak for you and tell her on reread. I chose to help you. I chose to track Moghedien. And I chose to take you to see her. Me. Not you, Nynaeve. Me. I was not your puppet, your packhound then, and I will not be now." That's a great point of character development there. Nynaeve takes responsibility for everything and wants to take care of everyone and always feels like she has to be, the mother has to be the responsible one. And Brigida's like, "Knock that crap off. This is not your responsibility. It's mine. I did this. You don't get to take my agency away from me and tell me that it's your fault. It's mine." That's great. That's a great, great bit. Here's the best line. Brigida talks about Luca's bow, and she called it, quote, "a knot-riddled branch broken from a cross-grained tree by a blind idiot in the middle of the night." That's the best line of the book. That's the great line of the book. Another one of these lines about Nynaeve being just not... Here's one of these great lines. This is Nynaeve just showing a tremendous lack of self-awareness, as she often does. Love Nynaeve, but she just is not there sometimes. She does not see it. Men always seem to think violence could solve anything. If she had a stout stick, she would have thumped all three of them about the shoulders until they saw reason. Great. And here's one plot point that just is left mysterious and then is often sort of explained away later. It's page 655 of this book. And they finally tell you guys, tell us readers, they finally get around to telling us that the dragons on Couladin's arms were put there by Asmodean. We didn't know that until this point, right? There was no mention. I was reading as I was going through it, I was trying to find it. And I marked it here because it doesn't get revealed until 2/3 of the way through the next book. So they finally say this is where those dragons on Couladin's arms came from. Asmodean was doing it to mess with people. It's one of those, and just sort of an offhanded explanation about something that we don't actually get. I don't expect an author to explain every single little thing, but that's a significant plot point. We kind of want to know where it came from. That's annoying. Okay, there's one last scene I want to talk about, and this is a significant scene, and I don't remember if I'd forgotten about this or if it just the impact of it and the importance of it hadn't hit me. until I did this reread. So after the scene at the docks, Moiraine is gone, and Rand there's a little hut, I guess, near the docks that he's sort of hidden in for a bit, and he reads Moiraine's letter. And then Sulin comes in. I love Sulin. Why do you weep here alone, Rand al'Thor? I have heard some wetlanders think it is shame to be seen weeping. He glared at Sulin standing in the doorway. He says, what do you want? I thought you had all decided to abandon me and go back to the threefold land. Sulin says, it is not we who have abandoned you, Rand al'Thor. Shutting the door behind her, she sat on the floor and laid her buckler and a pair of spears down. You have abandoned us. In one motion, she put a foot against the last spear between her hands, heaved, and snapped it in two. What are you doing? She tossed aside the pieces and picked up another spear. I said, what are you doing? The white-haired maiden's face might have been given even land pause, but Rand bent and seized the spear between her hands. Her soft-booted foot came to rest against his knuckles, not lightly. Will you put us in skirts and make us merry and tend hearth? Were we able to lie beside your fire and lick your hand when you give us a scrap of meat? Her muscles tensed, and the spear broke, scoring his palm with splinters. So he bloodies his hand, and he says, I didn't mean any such thing. I thought you understood. She took up the last spear and set her foot, and he channeled, weaving air to hold her as she was. She only stared at him wordlessly. That's impressive as hell. Everybody gets freaked out by men who can channel, and even Aes Sedai, almost everybody gets freaked out by that, with good reason. But the Aiel that is what it is. They just accept it. You've grabbed a hold of me with the power, and I'm just going to sit here and just glare at you. Burn me, you said nothing, so I kept maidens out of battle with Couladin. Not everyone fought that day, and you never said a word. Sulin's eyes widened in incredulity. You kept us from the dance of the spears? We kept you from the dance. You were like a girl newly wed to the spear, ready to rush out and kill Couladin with never a thought for the spear you might take from behind. You are the Kara Karn. You have no right to risk yourself needlessly. Her voice flattened. Now you go to fight the Forsaken. The secret is well kept, but I have heard enough from those who would lead the other societies. And you want me to keep you out of this fight as well? He said quietly. Do not be a fool, Rand al'Thor. Any could have danced the spears with Couladin. For you to risk it was the thinking of a child. None among us can face the Shadow Soul save you. Then why? He says, those who go with you have been chosen. The words came like hurled stones. Men from every society. Men. There are no maidens, Rand al'Thor. Farther eyes my carries your honor, and you take ours away. Great confrontation. Great at telling Rand where he screwed up. Because he doesn't treat the Maidens of the Spear like the warriors that they are. He doesn't give them respect. He doesn't give the honor that they damn well deserve. And she is absolutely right to call him out on his bullshit here. Rand never gets past this chauvinistic putting women on a pedestal, being overprotective of women. He never gets past it. And some people really don't like this. And I understand. He's a character. He's not a person. If he was a guy who was a friend of mine, I'd be a lot more pissed at him. But as a character, sometimes people do not get past their flaws. They don't get over it. They don't get past it. And this is a great example of Jordan pointing out what he's doing wrong and him starting to get a little bit past it. He never completely does. But at least he's confronted and made to account for his treating women poorly. And that's a great part of Jordan. And he finally does. And she calls him out on his bullshit. And then he sends Sulin away in the next book, which sucks. Because I loved her as a character. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that bit. Alright, so that's Fires of Heaven. And I will post the next one, hopefully the next week or so. Thank you for watching. Appreciate it.